Welcome back to CFN Live. Well, now for a story on Queen of Peace Cemetery, brand new in the Diocese of Rockville Center. We'll go over to Jackie Lucas.
Thank you, Monsignor. A second Catholic cemetery is open in Nassau County, Long Island. Construction crews are still working on building the beautiful chapel on the grounds of Queen of Peace Cemetery. And we got a special tour of the work that is being done and how the liturgical design came together. Queen of Peace Cemetery sits on 97 acres in Old Westbury, Long Island. The centerpiece, this beautiful stone chapel that's still being constructed. Queen of Peace is the fourth and newest cemetery of Catholic Cemeteries of Long Island. President and CEO Richard B. says it's been 30 years in the making.
This whole project was started under Bishop McGann back in the 90s when they purchased this property. And then it wasn't until 2016 when we started the site work to actually break ground and start to put the roads, the drainage system in. And then eventually in 2020, we broke ground. With the bishop had a groundbreaking ceremony for the chapel. And we broke ground and we started in September of 2020. And here we are today, almost 2 years later, with close to the finished product.
About 67 acres of this property is dedicated to cemetery use. Right now, there are more than 200 souls buried here. The cemetery has up to 200,000 burial plots.
Section 1 is the first burial area that we designated for the Queen of Peace. And our intention was not to bury people here until after we had a finished product with the chapel, the administration building, and all the mausoleums. But during the pandemic, our cemetery right down the road, Holy Roots Cemetery, was almost completely full. So we worked with the Village of Old Westbury, and we decided to open up Section 1 early to accommodate those Catholic faithful that needed burial space in Nassau County in May of 2020. Shortly, right after we finish the construction, we'll have mausoleum and crypt space that surround the chapel available for purchase as well.
There are 10 mausoleums with crypt and niche space that sit behind this stunning 7,800 square foot chapel, adorned with twin 65-foot high steeples.
As this was going up, I myself personally lived in every detail that you have. I climbed on the scaffolds, I went and I made sure all the returns were right and the flashing and everything built inside was done correctly.
Raymond Castronovo is the owner and CEO of Zenith Group, the construction management company that is working on the entire project.
During the whole process, we bid on it like everybody else does, and then we were able to go and get awarded the project due to my history in the world of doing churches and the stonework with Italian stone setters from when I was a kid.
He says being a part of this project is near and dear to his heart.
Growing up in Brooklyn as a Catholic and going to Catholic school up until the 8th grade, actually being an altar boy as well, the whole journey. So this, from the day I started, just coming on this site had like a sense of serenity. Just when they had holes in the ground, just being here and watching everything go on. And then as it's built, it's just the same feeling. It just has that feeling of peace inside of it.
We wanted to design a structure that looked like it had been here for a long time. And that stone structure behind me is something that I think fits in within the character of the Village of Old Westbury. And then we wanted to incorporate elements within the chapel that made it look like it'd been here for a long time. So we have elements such as the main altar itself that was repurposed from another chapel. We have the stained glass windows that came from another chapel in New Jersey. We have pews that came from Williamsburg, Brooklyn. So there's a lot of elements that are repurposed within our chapel that made it look like it's been here for a long time, and it has special meaning. These are elements of other churches and chapels that people went to and visited on a regular basis, and now we're giving them a second life in our chapel, really making it special for the Queen of Peace Chapel.
It's a unique project because it's a brand new building, but it's made to look very traditional.
Lawrence Hoy is designing the interior liturgical worship space for this new chapel. He was the one who found these beautiful stained glass windows while doing work at a convent and chapel in New Jersey. At the time, the windows were each 13 feet tall.
And I'm looking at the windows in this chapel. I said, well, they're too big for this new chapel, but the middle part looks like it might fit the windows. These were already designed. The openings were already here. And I said, they might actually fit if we cut them out in this way. And I called Rich. I'm standing there going, Rich, I'm standing here looking at this. This is the life of Mary, and it ends with Mary crowned as the Queen of the universe, the Queen of Peace. I said, it's perfect iconography if we could make it work. So Rich came down, and we looked at that, and he's like, if we can make this work, this is great. And then he was like a kid in a candy shop, you know? He's like, how about these mahogany screens out here? Can we use those? How about these wrought iron doors? Can we use those? So it was kind of a miracle that the stained glass windows were able to be recomposed to fit windows that were already in existence. When we measured the front doors, those were interior doors, and when we measured the size, it literally fit an existing opening that was already built out of concrete with a ½ inch to spare. One of the things that that they had already gotten was the high altar for the back, which isn't complete yet. But this was from a 100-year-old church in Brooklyn, a chapel. And it had been dismantled and boxed in crates. And Rich showed me a picture. He says, you know, we have to put this back together. And we said, okay, that's great. But there was the Last Supper scene in the center of that piece was so beautifully carved. We said, maybe that piece can be used for the reredos, the back altar. And the new front altar, we could incorporate the Last Supper. The amazing thing is, this is all done by hand. They didn't have electric chisels, you know. They didn't have diamond electric saws. They didn't have a lot of the equipment that people have now, but they were able to do this. And when you look at their dimensioning, it's so accurate. Like everything fits together so perfectly.
It really does.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Catholic Cemeteries of Long Island says Queen of Peace will serve as a place of hope for the Catholic faithful.
So we want people to come visit our cemeteries, be comfortable here, come to our chapel, pray in our chapel, and just enjoy the physical beauty of the exterior and then the interior beauty that's in the interior of the chapel that we've tried to make as pretty as possible for a tribute to Our Lady, a Queen of Peace. We're looking forward to finishing up construction very soon and then having a dedication ceremony and mass celebrated by Bishop Barris, where we'll invite all the dignitaries, we'll invite the local community, and everyone that wants to be part of something very, very special, the fourth cemetery of Catholic cemeteries in Long Island.
And we look forward to going back and covering that dedication ceremony once the chapel is complete. To learn more about Queen of Peace Cemetery, you can go to cclongisland.org. Now back to Colleen.
Thank you, Jackie. It's beautiful.